Happy Tuesday, Dork Discoursers! And today is an especially exciting Tuesday. Happy Bad Batch finale eve, or finale night if you are a fellow Pacific Coaster. I will actually be staying up till midnight for once, which probably is not going to bode well because we've been going to bed at like elderly hours this week, like 10 p.m. So
Pretty normal.
we'll see if I make it, but obviously I have the biggest incentive. How are we already here at the series finale? Thank you guys so much for
finale, folks.
joining us. We got Charlie, Sean, Simply Stanley's, Matthew, Visitor Zeta, Sal's here. I think I said Simply, yes. Mike Hill, let's go. Let's go, team.
Oh.
Let's go, gang.
Gang's all here.
Thank you all so much for joining, and if you're lurking but not engaging in the chat, welcome to you as well, our anonymous folk. But yes, Bad Batch finale pregame. How are we already here? I wanted to start with, what are your hottest takes for what could go down? Well, first off, we have to acknowledge
you want to know the hottest
that
take?
Tom pretty much called it with the Zilla Beast last week. Pretty much. And that was like off the cuff too, on a fly.
That's been the theory ever since we knew about Tantus. And we knew Omega was going there.
But I don't think anyone
at the
thought
end of
about
season
it at all.
2. Yeah, at the end of season 2, I swear we've talked about this on, maybe not on Dork Discourse, but we've had conversations about it. Whereas like the season 3 is going to end with the Zilla Beast being unleashed from Tantus and some amount of people escaping. I think the hottest take is that they all die.
No.
I think that's the hottest take.
No.
Is that they all die. I think I'm locking it in that Omega is sacrificing herself to save the Bad Batch, the kid, some combination. Omega's toast. She's done. And she's going to sacrifice herself for the greater good of her brothers and her sister. And
her
the
sister
children.
has been torturing all of the other clones via experimentation.
Having a change of heart. She's talking with Echo.
Yeah, finally.
To get him out. But Omega is going to sacrifice herself for the greater good of the clones.
Jesus, that is a very hot take.
With the fate of the Bad Batch, I could see them potentially make it out. Obviously we know.
So you just said Rex everyone's gonna die, but everyone you just
said
mean...
that's the hottest take. I didn't say I'm necessarily on board. With that happening.
Okay.
But we know Rex is making it out due to his Rebels and Return of the Jedi cameo and all that stuff. So we know Rex is making it out. We know not all the clones are gonna die.
I don't think Rex is even gonna be involved at this point.
Yeah.
I think that's out of the picture.
So they're setting it up that everyone who's on Tantus could theoretically die.
Mike Hill, I agree so much. That's why I'm like, no one else is going to be involved at this point. They should have had a double episode finale, because how can you end this in 25 minutes? I'm in total agreement. I don't think that's even a hot take. I think that's just, I've been accepting that fact throughout the week that this is only going to be 20 minutes long. Keep in mind, the credits, with credits, these episodes are 25 minutes. Without, it's like 20. So that's what I've resigned to the fact that it's it's not gonna be. I know we've all been, I saw people online thinking like, oh, what if it's 99 minutes for Clone Force 99? Can you imagine? I saw this incredible thread on Twitter. Somebody calculated the exact runtime of all the episodes combined from season 1 and season 2, and we're nowhere near that with season 3 just yet. Unless this final episode were to be at least an hour long, then it would get somewhere close to there. So it's like, I don't know why. I'm beginning to question, in my acceptance now that it's only going to be 20 minutes, I'm beginning to question why. Why for the season finale is it going to end up with less runtimes? And why would you not go out with a bang?
Do you even know the runtime?
No, we don't. Okay. But I figured, I've assumed, because don't you think if it were like at least an hour long, they would have plugged that?
Something. Yeah.
They always plug that.
Yeah.
At least for the premieres they do, like a 1 hour long premiere, which was like a big deal for this show, The Bad Batch.
Yeah.
So the fact that there hasn't been any mention at all or allusion to like, a surprise, it's going to be an hour-long finale. I've accepted that it's not necessarily a hot take, but it's only going to be 20 minutes, so they got to wrap all this up in 20 minutes. And I'm on the complete opposite. I don't, that's so against all that is written to have Omega die, says Paul. That would make no sense. It would be very sad. It would, there's no way they would do
Here's
that.
why I think it has to, is coming into this season, she was taken to Tantus. The big ending of season 2 was that she's going to this base. Within the first 3 episodes, she already leaves. She figures out how to break out herself. So if she can just escape while the Emperor is literally there.
It's on Twitter, says Elvis. See, wait, the runtime has been confirmed? Sorry. I just saw Elvis's. Unless you're trolling us, Elvis.
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 Be trolling Elvis.
Don't give me hope.
Be trolling Elvis.
Where's it at? I want to see proof. I want to see proof
Search
from actual Star Wars.
But anyway, we saw Omega escaping the base under her own free will in the beginning of the season. And we've already seen with the penultimate episode that she has presumably found a way to escape again with the Zillo Beasts. And if this is the end of the show has been all about Omega's relationship with Clone Force 99. Sub-thread is Project Necromancer and how Omega is involved with that. We know that 60 years from now, at the time of the sequel trilogy, that Project Necromancer is just reaching its full potential. If Omega is the key to unlocking the full potential, and the full potential isn't reached for another 60 years, my brain put 2 and 2 together. Omega can't be a part of the picture anymore. Danny!
Thank you so much, my friend. Good to see you. Can't stay for too long because Kendrick just dropped a Drake disc. I literally was just listening to a podcast about this. But love you guys. I do have an unrelated question. Tom and Kat, would you want Lucasfilm to ever focus on non-canon films? If so, what should the films explore?
No.
Tom just wants
personally, no.
Canon.
I'm all about expanding the canon. So like even Visions, like we still have not watched.
No, we're
Visions,
awful.
Season 2, but Vision season 1 was great.
It was fabulous.
And it was entertaining. I've never watched it a second time.
Touché.
Right? Like the for me, the thing that really holds the weight is the world building and the canon spread over a large amount of time, literally in actual human time based on when the first film came out to where we are now, but also in universe time of when like Phantom Menace takes place and when Rise of Skywalker ends. It's like literally 100 years of time that has passed. And so the like adding stories that expand on that timeline is personally what I am interested in seeing. So they could certainly make some non-canon cool stuff, like if they had a Star Killer type thing. But yeah, I think we have the game for that, and like there's so much real estate that they can tell a canon story in, that you can create some new character that fits into the canon versus taking some established character or some established piece of canon and then telling a story about it in a way that makes it not canon. But they can make whatever they want canon. So really any story they could tell, they could say that it's canon. And whatever they say, everybody can pick and choose what is their canon anyway. So
I'm going to disagree and say, just because they're not like what even is the significance of canon? I guess it's based on how much value you put on the significance of what is canon. Because like you said, Vision season 1, yeah, we're fake fans because we still have to watch season 2. But season 1 was some of the best effing Star Wars. Like that, if you ask me, it was just fresh. It was freaking awesome. It was incredible to see other people's, takes on it. And it was some of the best stories because it was fresh and new. So I'm biased because you guys know that I've come from a position of I'm constantly preaching. Like, the reason I'm, for example, so excited about Acolyte is because I am just freaking starved to get the frick out of this. You know, you say there's so much potential within the canon.
Well,
They're not
Acolyte is
accessing
expanding. That's exactly what it is. It's expanding.
Yeah,
it's a canon story.
Finally freaking expanding.
Expanding.
Frickin' finally.
The bounds.
Is what I'm saying, though. Like, it's taken this long. And that's just one show, and it's not even that far. It's still only 100 years, which, yeah, in this timeline, it's like, thank God.
That's like the
yes
entire. That's if you go from Phantom Menace to Rise of Skywalker in the other direction.
You're not letting me finish.
Literally, doubling the timeline.
Is it's like freaking finally. Like, yes, thank God, double the timeline, but you're in freaking Star Wars. How old is that dang universe? Thousands and thousands, millennia, whatever. I don't know the exact number, but I know it expands way more than the blip of 100-year span. So, oh, thank God, now we've expanded to 200 years wide. Oh my God.
Think about our universe. It's like billions of years old. Humans have only existed for.
That's what I'm saying. In Star Wars,
a grain of sand on a beach.
Star Wars is probably billions of years old, and who knows what's going on in all that timeline. So my point
Not much.
My point is
bacteria on a beach.
We don't know that.
Toasted by lava that
eventually take
millions of years to evolve into conscious human beings.
I let you ramble on. You're not letting me finish at all. My whole point is I prefaced this by saying
5:15.
Yeah, I prefaced this by saying I know I might be biased because I've been freaking starved to get the frick out. Yet you say there's so much room within a timeline, but we're congested in the same freaking space now. 50% of the live action Star Wars shows here take place within like 5 years of each other. If that, the overlap, like we're too congested in this timeline. So yes, I'm all in favor as somebody who just wants and craves and is desperate for something new. I'm all in favor of if they were to explore some non-canon things, just to give themselves some freedom of expression to just play around. As like a palate cleanser. Like, that's what I would say Visions serves as. It's so fun and refreshing, and it's just a reminder of, like, look what Star Wars can be versus Star Wars right now. I was saying this last week when we were talking about, like, what direction should Star Wars go in live action or animation, animated shows, live action shows, animated films, live action feature films, like, and I was in favor of animation because a lot of the live action now, like, is feeling very much repetitive, the same. Like I said, that's natural because there's the overlap and they've created a universe, but I am personally just jonesing for something different, which is why, like, when I watched Vision season 1, I was like, this is freaking mind-blowing, because look what happens when you just get different people who clearly love Star Wars, give them some freedom to play around with it. So, like, yeah, I know not all of those episodes hit, equally, because some of them you had to definitely, like, it definitely felt like a different world, a different vibe, a different aesthetic, but it still was just fun and cool to see. And it was just refreshing. That's what I'm saying. So I would be very interested in a palate cleanser of some non-canon material. To answer your question in a very long-winded way, you've kicked off the discourse portion of our show tonight, the Dork Discourse. It looks like Tom's still staying quiet, so I'll finally share my hot take for tonight, which is a complete opposite of yours. I really don't think anybody's gonna die. The only person, I'm gonna put it out there now, I'm gonna lock in for me. My hot take, the only person that's gonna get it is Hunter. And I was going off on a tangent about this in my latest, one of my latest members only streams, but the more I think about it, I think all roads are pointing to that. All season, they've kind of been passing the torch, the metaphorical torch from him to Crosshair, because I think he's always been, like, Omega's #1 paternal. Yeah, she was always attached to him at the hip, and in spite of the whole group had a protective aura over her, they all care about her and would die for her, but I think Hunter especially, assumed that role, and developed a stronger connection with her. And so all season long, he knows it, Crosshair knows it, Hunter's observed, like, Omega, mimicking Crosshair, really being connected with him. Crosshair having a protective nature over her, so Hunter has been out of the corner of his eye seeing their relationship flourish. He's gonna I think he'll be the one, because I'll be honest, he's not really gotten much character development beyond he just wants to lay low and chill and just retire to Pabu for the end of time. All season long, every season he's tried his hardest to avoid at all costs the conflict that Rex is throwing himself into now, and he was trying to get them, on his side. You can't avoid this any more than I can. This is our fight now, whether you like it or not. Hunter finally came face to face with that kind of reckoning, when Rex, confronted him about it and said, you have to get involved. If you want to save Omega, you have to get involved. So Hunter's, I feel like, whole arc has been wanting to avoid conflict so that he can just create a safe life, a chill life, somewhere away, tucked away for Omega. Give her a normal upbringing that she was robbed of, growing up on Camino. And so I think poetically he'll be the one to die, the one who just wanted to avoid conflict all this time, wanted to take their chance after they'd gotten away, in season 1, take their chances and just find freedom. That's why they were working for friggin' Sid all that time. What was Hunter's excuse every time? We're working towards our freedom. And so I think it would be tragic but poetic if the one person who just wanted to chill the entire time and avoid conflict was the one to die in the name of saving Omega, because he obviously cares about her so much. And again, they've been passing the torch. I know everyone's saying Crosshair, and I went on a rant about this in my latest reaction, my very delayed reaction that I just uploaded freshly today, T-minus 12 hours out from the finale. I know everyone's been saying Crosshair. I would be freaking livid. I'm gonna be honest. That's my biggest hot take, probably. If they kill Crosshair, I'll be actually really mad. You can talk now if you want.
It is past 5:15.
It is. It is.
Yeah, I don't.
No,
it's either Omega sacrifice herself, or the Bad Batch as a whole sacrifice all of them for the sake of Omega.
All of them?
Yeah, because otherwise they wouldn't end the show. There's no reason to end the show. Call this the ending of the show if the main characters that we know don't show up anywhere else. At this point, the Bad Batch can't just stay out of the fight. If they were alive and around the time of Rebels, why would they have separated from Rex? Granted, it's plenty of years, so something could have happened that we don't know about, but they're the focal point of the show. So it's either, in my mind, either they live on and the one main character, Omega, sacrifices herself for the good of her brothers, or they sacrifice themselves with Omega. But then it's really hard for me to see Omega living on based on how Project Necromancer plays out. If Omega is the key that Hemlock is doing everything to capture her for, and she's gone, then that lines up with the timeline that we have. If she's still alive, then why? They clearly, the whole season was, Omega escapes immediately, but that the Empire does whatever it can to find her and track her down, and they're able to. So if she survives, it's just going to be the same story again of the Empire trying to do everything they can to track her down.
Can I acknowledge this comment? Nutmeg Riot, you are backing up my point, which could address what you're saying. Hunter dying would pave the way for Omega to go with Ventress. That I feel like is still on the table, because you're saying she just finite has to die. Also, hello, Alice Queen. Miss you, girl. Thanks for popping in. You're saying it has to be concrete and finite, and that the only way that could logically make sense that she evades the Empire and Project Necromancer is she has to die.
Because it's the end of the show. That's implying that their main storyline is over.
But what if she goes with Ventress and disappears,
she shows up for one episode and then doesn't really do anything and then leaves.
Wouldn't you prefer that they bring her back so there's a purpose? Because right now, if I'm being brutally honest, I agree. I don't think Ventress's cameo was worthy of her as a character yet.
Yes, I agree.
And it feels so it still to me doesn't feel like yeah, does it make sense? Would she be a suitable person? Sure, like to have to bring back for this show, but I still feel like she's so unrelated to these characters, this show, this story, everything it's been focusing on. So that for me, I would prefer. Again, this is why I'm like, we only have 20 minutes left, folks. I've just resigned to the fact that that's the time frame that we're working with, and there's still so many ways this could go. So I'm like, would we see Ventress? See, Sal disagrees. I don't want to see her in the finale. But I feel like that could be a way to, I don't know. I don't know. Bring her back. They foreshadowed it. They planted the seeds. Like, if she wants to pursue this life as a Jedi, you'd have to part ways with her.
Yeah, I think the only way she does that is if her Bad Batch brothers aren't dead.
Bosco agrees with you. Ventress takes Omega and saves her, and the 99 die. That would be so freaking depressing. Nah, there's no way.
They're calling this the end of the show. Something significant has to happen for them to say the end of the show. It's not like Rebels. Rebels is different because Rebels ended with the nice epilogue showing out how everybody lived except Kanan, and that they survived throughout the Empire, and that seeds were already in place. That was already put into place. So that is different. And so they're basically saying, put these characters post Return of the Jedi, where we literally know very little about. We know plenty about the state of the clones, and that come the original trilogy, they're pretty much all gone. They're all gone. They're non-existent. They don't have any role to play outside of Rex and Wolf and Gregor in Rebels, and then Rex showing up in Return of the Jedi. But literally, and this whole show so far has been the phasing out and extermination of the clones. I mean, they literally destroyed the clone homeworld.
Yeah.
And now are phasing out all of the remaining clones. And this is like very, very short time frame after Revenge of the Sith. We still have like 18 years to get to the original trilogy. So if Clone Force 99 doesn't show up anywhere else, when we see other clones, we know they're getting rid of the clones. They've been setting up this relationship between Omega and Clone Force 99. If this is the end of the show, I think that relationship at least has to end. So if 99, Clone Force 99, the Bad Batch survive, Omega goes with Ventress, that's a way that it could end, but their joint relationship is over because their joint relationship has basically been the entirety of the show. I don't think them just parting ways is impactful enough. Like, if this show is really about, has been made itself up to be the death of the clones, the expansion of Project Necromancer, and Omega is kind of the middle ground between the both. So I think the finale is going to symbolize the death of the true death of the Republic and the clones as we know it, and whether Omega goes on with Ventress to explore non-clone life, perhaps.
Yeah, Bosco scenario, I agree with what you're saying. Like, the ending here has to connect to something that we've gotten in the live action or the movies, which is why I feel like it could be plausible that there is a Ventress, the path. You know, we know she's tied with Quinlan Voss and whatnot. Like, that is a seed that was planted in, you know, Kenobi.
Yeah.
There's no way that they can reintroduce Ventress into this when we know that she's... Wherever this falls in the canon, I don't know if this retcon Dark Disciple or not, but, you know, we know that she's paired with Quinlan Voss at this point in time.
It would make sense that she is
so
part of the path.
They can't reintroduce her without expecting people to make that connection and then to think about that seed planted in Kenobi. So, like, I agree. I do agree with that. This might end up... This is gonna... I don't know. I feel like... Could this still... Here's the other thing, too. We're going into the dark because I feel like our whole conversation here would be wildly, entirely different, and perhaps they're withholding this, if there is any news in this regard, for a reason, so that we aren't, you know, thinking of having different theories and conspiracies influenced by if there was any possible news or announcement in the pipeline of a spin-off show, or if there's another animated series, which I pray there is. But if that's the case, they're being tight-lipped about it, which I'm grateful for, because I do think we'd be having an entirely different conversation, different thoughts, different theories, if there were going to be a spin-off, because there's a lot of rumored, I think, spin-offs of where this could go. I know there's rumors about Ventress. Some of you guys were saying in our chat last week or the week prior that the voice actress for Ventress was suggesting that this is only, the beginning on Twitter in regards to her return and whatnot.
I mean, that could be as much as she shows up in the finale, and
that's
it.
True.
It could literally be that.
That's true.
It doesn't necessarily mean she's getting a full live-action trilogy of movies.
No, it doesn't. That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about an animated spin-off. Right now, I feel like there's so many different... They could focus on Rex and his clones and his uprising. If, they're planting the seeds for a clone uprising, which we know turns into a failed rebellion, which is why Rex is exiled when we see him again, eventually down the line. But there's several... So that's the other thing, too, that could be influencing all of this. You're suggesting that just because this show is ending means the death of the Bad Batch and everyone involved, but if they did a Rex spin-off show, they could very easily show up in that and die in that rebellion of some sort or whatnot. But I feel like that would just be an interesting pattern. They show up in the tail end of, Clone Wars finale, that's their introduction, then they get their own show, and then their own show ends, and then they show up in another show. That might be too repetitive.
I think so, and that's why I'm saying they're calling this the end. I think this has to be the end of the Bad Batch story. I think, because if you're right, if they don't die, and this finale isn't the end of the clones, they're already back in the fight, so they would have to show up in whatever future show deals with the end of the clones. But then why not just continue this show? Because this is all about the Bad Batch, and it's turned into the clones and the phasing out of the clones and the extinction of the clones. So why end this show if you're going to have another show that goes down similar threads? Unless Omega is completely out of the equation, and then it's purely just focusing on the clones. Because this show has been, yes, about the clones and about Project Necromancer, but about Omega and the Bad Batch's relationship. So the only way I think it makes sense to have a separate show is if this show is the end of Omega. Because if Omega survives, the Bad Batch survives. They just have another show about the Clone Rebellion and the downfall of the clones, and the Bad Batch are involved and Omega's involved. That's literally what this show is. So why would they end this show?
I'm telling you, I don't know. And this isn't coming from a hopeful place. This is coming from, like, I don't think they will. It's not going to go the way you think. I don't think this show has ever been dark enough to the point that it would end in such a way. Like, I don't know. This season in particular has delved into some darker things, like the, imprisonment of these children, regarded as just mere specimens, the torture of all the clones on Tantus. This season certainly has delved into some of the darker topics that this show has covered in its entirety in general, but I just don't. We'll find out. We don't have to wait very much longer. I'll find out tonight at midnight. Fingers crossed I'm staying up till like 1 a.m. if it's hopefully an hour-long episode. Could you imagine? Oh, I would be rejoicing. Maybe they're just not divulging whatever the runtime is so that they keep us all... I'm sure they know we're all guessing, because it's not a secret. Everyone on Twitter has been voicing the same desire. Like, please let this be a longer finale. I think because we're all just like, how is this going to end in 20 minutes? Like, yeah, we're in a place where anything could happen, but I feel like it's like, I do not feel secure about anything happening within a 20-minute time frame. That just, to me, does not feel... I don't know. I don't know, but we don't have to wait very much longer. We'll find out very shortly. Imagine that it's like 20 minutes, says Alice. I don't know. We'll find out. Maybe they're just waiting until it drops and we'll all discover it, There were some surprises with the Clone Wars series finale. Remember, didn't they drop that like an hour early? We were sitting there waiting till like 3 a.m. Eastern, and this was before we had the luxury of being on Pacific time. And then they just dropped it at 1.
Yeah, I mean, if the story is literally just going to be they escape Tantus again, and that's it, then it makes sense that it's
only 20.
A regular runtime episode.
Yeah.
But if it is a proper ending to a series, and there's some complete cutoff of the current story that we know, whether it's the complete destruction of Tantus and like basically near extinction of Project Necromancer, and some type of end of the Bad Batch storyline or Omega storyline, all of that warrants, I think, like everybody else is saying, like near the hour mark, because there's just so much they'd have to wrap up. But if it's literally just, oh, Omega tames the Zillo Beast and it destroys the facility and they escape, they've already done half the escape in the previous episode, so it's just about Zillo Beast destroying it and then they escape. And that could be just 20 minutes. But that's maybe a season finale, but they already escaped Tantus in the beginning of this season. If they're just going to do it again with the help of the Zillo Beast, that's like a rinse and repeat. There's nothing new that's added there.
Because if it were just to be another 20 minutes, why would they not have just released it? A double episode release. That was my biggest question last week. I was like, why? Why wouldn't this be a 2-episode release if they're both just 20-minute long episodes? Which I'm starting to have some hope now. Maybe the reason is they wouldn't release a 20-minute episode and then a hour-long episode together. So I'm starting to have some renewed hope here. Everybody manifest. It's already been done. It's already been signed, sealed, delivered, and they just have to press upload onto Disney Plus in T-minus like 6.5 hours. But manifest that. It could be an hour long. I saw everyone earlier saying, Sal, no, in the chat, and I was like, what did Sal say? And he said they're doing a Sid spinoff next. That would be...
Maybe.
That would certainly...
First 5 minutes will be Zillo Beast destroying Tantus and killing the Bad Batch and killing Omega, and then the last 15 minutes will be Sid catching up with Sid.
That is one...
And credits will be...
It really hit me.
Sid, a Star Wars story.
They must have heard,
full live-action trilogy of films.
All of the absolute vitriol for her online. They must have heard it and taken it to heart and were like, all right, we're not going to show her face on here again. We didn't see her at all. And the show was better for it. Although I'm still sad they didn't give us... They're better people than I am. The writing team, the showrunners, obviously, they have better moral compass than I do because they didn't give us the satisfaction of seeing Hunter absolutely obliterate her and avenge themselves. That would have been...
Well, maybe we get that as kind of an epilogue post-escape.
End credits.
If they do survive, they say we need to eliminate all ties to truly end the risk of Omega getting captured. And they go find her and eliminate that risk from the equation.
They would have done that in the first place, which they frankly should have. Honestly, in hindsight, yeah, why didn't I judge them harder for this? They never even mentioned Sid or consider, like, hey, she still can have intel on us. She could still be a liability. She could still leak information about us. Pickles, what time does it air? The finale, hopefully, if it's on time, airs at midnight Pacific time, 3 a.m. Eastern time. If you're one of the poor unfortunate souls over there, I'm so sorry. I do not miss having to do that. Although, like we were saying, they surprised us with that Clone Wars finale and it dropped at 1 a.m. that evening. It dropped early, so who knows? Maybe they could have a change of heart here too.
Maybe they'll bring back the 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern.
I don't think they would do that.
Well, we can check in 26 minutes and see what they say.
But yeah, no, we'll see. I don't know. We won't have to theorize for very much longer. I feel like it is interesting because I went into last week's episode saying anything can happen, and it still stands for tonight, even though there's a pretty clear-cut path. Emery's teaming up. Hey, I ain't poor. Says Nick Gundy in regards to my comment about the poor unfortunate souls on the East Coast. No, you're not. You're not. You just have to stay up till 3 a.m. I'm so sorry. You know, what was I saying? We know Emery's teaming up with Echo, and we know Omega's contemplating something with that Zillow beast, so, I don't know. If any of these children die, I'll be really upset. I will be very upset. I will be watching it in the morning as I sip on my coffee. That's a good way to start the day.
There you go, Bosco.
Good way to start the day. I hope that they do that 6 Pacific, 9 Eastern release for the Acolyte. I liked that. I know. Please, that was so much better. It was, honestly, I know it's a very, Americentric perspective that I have selfishly to be like, release it as a proper time.
This is no-centric. Midnight Pacific time?
It benefits,
that's in the morning.
Europeans.
No one wants to watch it in the morning. I feel like people would rather watch it
in the evening.
At night, prime time.
I know. Like, what is the
logic? But no one can watch it at night at prime time. Because even in, Australia, New Zealand,
it's more of a reasonable
Eastern
time
Asia, it's earlier at night.
It's like 4 p.m. for them, I think.
It's not.
Alice, confirm for us. Do the math for us.
They're 6 hours behind. So I believe it's 11:30 a.m. in Australia right now.
So what time so yeah, it comes out at like dinner time for you guys. They get the the best hand here.
It's 6 p.m. But like the true best time would be like Hawaii, Central Pacific, 9 p.m. Like that's 8 to 9 is like prime time viewing experience. So if you look at if you're going to go latitude by latitude, longitude by longitude, and look at population, again, the middle of the line straight down the Pacific Ocean is not the most populated.
Well, this is why I'm trying not to have an Americentric view of all of this, but like, yeah, with Ahsoka, that was amazing because people could watch at a reasonable time, and then it was like book club where you could go right online, right onto Twitter and see other people. I feel like that's when the buzz was the most concentrated, at least again for me. I'm biased as an American because all of my fellow Americans were online at that time versus everybody else then got screwed over when it was releasing at like 6 p.m. for us. That's like middle of the night for the UK and stuff like that. So but it was at least nice from an American standpoint. I'm trying not to just sound selfish here because I know the world does not revolve around the United States, but it was at least clutch. And that just at least made more sense from some perspective of if you want people to have chatter about your show that's not, it creates like a spike so that it trends versus, I don't know. It's tough because like, I guess it applies either way. But it's tough because it's like for the Bad Batch, it's like, okay, if you are on the East Coast, don't go online. Or even if it's like, your scenario, you, I think, represent more of the layperson, like the reactors like myself.
The layperson?
The reactors like myself.
I'm the one who's doing a show talking about it with someone you with on a real life
job.
Right
someone
now.
with a real life job is what I'm trying to say. Like you represent probably the typical scenario, which is you don't have the luxury of being able to stay awake till midnight. I'm pretty sure the only time you ever stayed awake till midnight was for the Mandalorian season 2 finale.
Kenobi, I stayed up.
Oh, that's right.
I stayed up for every episode.
Right. But I think, for Bad Batch, you're not staying awake till midnight because you gotta wake up in like 5 hours. I think that's the case for most people. So then it's like, all right, you can't check your phone because those of us who stayed up till midnight are then tweeting about it and stuff like that. And there's like absolutely no window of etiquette for non-spoiler talk online anymore. People are out there, not even spoiler warnings, divulging the latest details from the latest episode. So it's like not safe at all, even within 5 minutes after the episode drops online, I feel like. So, I don't know. Let's manifest, yes. Tangent aside, let's certainly manifest a 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern drop. I go social media dark. You're smart, Bosco. You're smart.
Yep.
The Zilla Beast is gonna eat Rampart. Oh no.
The Zilla Beast is taking lives. Zilla Beast can take some serious lives.
Jalen says that I bet Rampart joins the rebellion. Right, he's at a crossroads. He could really go anywhere right now because he was saying in the last episode to Crosshair, we're really the same deep down. We both serve only ourselves. And Crosshair retaliated and said, I have changed. But for Rampart, I feel like that could either be foreshadowing that he just makes a decision out of self-service, self-preservation. But at this point, I don't think he really has anything that he can barter, anything that he can wager to help himself out here. I don't think Hemlock wants anything from him. He already knows to anticipate that Clone Force 99 is on their way.
Nope.
He maybe isn't expecting that they want to liberate the entire base, but so it could perhaps go the opposite direction, in which his conversation with Crosshair has a positive impact and he has a change of heart as well. But again, so many different open-ended storylines still that I feel like there's no way it's gonna, if this is only 20 minutes, I want to just disclaim, I'm not going to be disappointed. I don't want anyone to think that I'm going to be like out over here raging in my reaction if I log on to Disney Plus and see that it's the standard runtime. But like, I'll admittedly be a little bit disheartened because I feel like there's still just so much to do. There's so much that could go on. I read the title of this as pregnant instead of Pregame. The Bad Batch is pregnant, you guys. Yep. That's actually the premise of tonight's episode.
They're all pregnant.
That's where the spin-offs are going to come from. Did I miss something? Did you forget that I'm from the future? No, Alice, we're asking about, what time does the episode drop for you, Alice? Speaking for our Australian/New Zealand friends. Maybe, you know what? Maybe the show The Bad Batch, where
is
like...
Australia even one time zone? I feel like it has to be multiple time zones.
I don't know.
Alice, confirm how many time zones are in Australia, please.
And what time the episode drops for you. It's got to be a reasonable time, right? It's like the evening for you guys. Around 5 p.m. Like, that's prime. That's so perfect. That is perfect. Yeah, we were trying to figure it out and do the math. Maybe the Bad Batch drops specifically at an ideal time for Australian/New Zealanders because that's the accent base for the voice acting. Yeah. Who knows? Yeah. But yeah, do you have any polls in mind? We got T-minus I can't do math again.
18 minutes.
18 minutes left. Yeah, but sometimes the polls can take a bit, and it usually starts another conversation.
Do 18 polls in 18 minutes.
No, not at the rate it takes you to type them out.
Is this clone gonna die? Yes or no?
Oh my god.
Is this clone gonna die? Yes or no?
Well, we can ask an open-ended question again. All right. Well, we did this last stream where we asked an open-ended question to hear from you guys in the chat, and then we'll follow it up with a poll where you can actually select from multiple choice. But premise here, hot take. I almost just said hot topic. Who, if anyone, is going to kick the bucket tonight, in your guys' opinion? If you had to choose, it doesn't have to be limited to just one. If you think multiple people could meet their fate, if there's one in particular that you think is a lock-in, everybody lock in. If you think there's going to be any casualties this evening, if you think it's going to end tragically, who would it be?
Before we address the poll, Alice, is the east coast of Australia 3 hours behind New Zealand, or your time and zone in Australia and you are not on the east coast of Australia? But Alice says that Australia has 3 time zones.
Jeez.
Which makes sense. Australia is a big
Australia
landmass.
Lay a siege.
3 time zones. But 3 hours behind New Zealand is interesting.
That's wild. That I would not.
I didn't think that it was
because they don't. Look at us. We're learning.
Yeah, I mean Hawaii is 3 time zones behind the west coast of the United States.
Did you hear that?
But that's also a 6-hour flight.
Yeah.
To get to Hawaii, just like it is to get across from west coast to east coast of the United States. I don't think it's a 6-hour flight from New Zealand to Australia.
But, I don't think so. Sal just gave us our
it's
poll
also
for the evening.
more towards the pole.
I would like to
so the
read
time zones shrink in terms of surface area.
I'd like to read people's actual interactions.
All right, I'm done with geography.
Sal, I like that idea for a poll this evening. Will the finale be longer than 28 minutes? Perhaps that'll be. Jalen says, I don't think anyone dies aside from maybe Crosshair. Sal says, maybe will Captain Rex appear in the finale? Watch out for Echo. I'm scared for Echo. Stanley says Hemlock dies. And that's such a good point, too. And one that I feel like we've glossed over and not even addressed. Like, what the frick is going to happen to him? Is he going to make it out? I've seen a lot of people on Twitter advocating for the Zillow Beast eating him. You know, like the mad scientist's creations lead to his demise. Jalen, remember this. Omega has a higher chance of dying right now than Captain Rex. You are not wrong. You are not wrong. Sean says, I swear, if somebody kicks a literal bucket in this finale, I will laugh out loud. Hemlock is Snoke. Oh my. That's true. I don't even know if there's room for those seeds to be planted in this. There's still so much. No,
Hemlock
for
is
Snoke.
toast.
For a Snoke. You think Hemlock's definitely...
Yeah, Hemlock is cooked.
Definitely meeting his maker?
This is the intermediate failure of Necromancer and Tantus. Hemlock is toast.
Don't worry, Simply. We haven't done the official poll yet. We're just doing an open-ended poll, but we will conduct our real poll now. We were just gathering everyone's thoughts, everyone's hot takes, if they think there could be casualties in this episode. Do you have a real poll? Ooh.
First off, we got Bosco.
Shout out Bosco. I saw the lights changing.
Bosco.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're too kind. First time catching the show live. Okay, I didn't want to assume, because I always feel bad whenever I ask people if I'm like, is this your first time? And then they've been like, no, this is my fifth. And I'm like, shoot, sorry. So I from here on out, just put a blanket rule on myself to not ask. But welcome. I had a suspicion. I thought maybe it was your first time. So welcome. Thank you for being here. Great stream. Awesome chat. Notify has been enabled, but the clones will die. Well, thank you for joining us. Sorry that you had to join such a morbid discussion. I feel like all we've talked about this evening is death. Who's gonna meet their maker tonight? But Sal, yes, One Way Out, and you know what? There are casualties there. There were casualties in One Way Out. So Tech's not coming back. That's true. I think that's out of the picture now as well. That theory all season long, but there's still. If this episode's 99 minutes, y'all, if they go out with a bang, if they go out with a Clone Force 99-minute long finale, who knows? We'll see. You guys will feel it through the ether. If this episode is any duration longer than 25 minutes, you'll hear me just like raging in happiness through the Force. Just know. Do you have a actual poll?
Yeah, I mean, I think the one would be the runtime, but the runtime's not as fun to speculate on. I mean, we've been speculating on survivors and non-survivors the whole time.
Do you want to do Will Omega die?
So
that was your biggest hot take. Do you want to see if the people back you up? Will Omega survive? 99-second finale, says Jalen. My God.
Okay. I've got a good iteration, I think, that satisfies all the speculation that we've been talking about.
Well, this one's gonna be tricky because what if people believe multiple of these options?
I'm one step ahead of you, dear.
I see.
Just hold your horses a second.
Alright. Poll positions, folks. Who dies? Omega, the bed bitch, all of them, or none of the above? If I had a vote here, I would say none of the above. If I'm being brutally honest.
Well, way to influence the poll. Now everybody's
well,
none of the
no,
above
they're all in favor of the Bad
you.
Batch. They're all... Oh, it's fluctuating. Jesus, everybody thinks there's going to be mass carnage tonight. I guess I'm in the minority. All right, I got one
Also,
fellow nobody.
All of them includes Omega, by the way. So if you're picking one of the bottom 3 options, just so you think, because you think Omega lives, all of them is basically Omega and the Bad Batch.
Yeah.
So if Omega lives, you pick Bad Batch or no one. But if Omega dies, you pick Omega, all of them. If the Bad Batch die, you pick Bad Batch, all of them. If neither Omega or the Bad Batch die, then no one.
Stanley's everyone. I love that reference so much. Whenever I can sneak that in a video, I try. It's time for a bloodbath. My God. So I guess I'm the only one who has no faith that they'll actually send it to the dark side and make us all depressed. We'll see. We'll see who comes out of this.
I think a Rogue One ending makes complete sense.
No.
Where they all die on Tantus, and then it zooms out to Palpatine trying to figure out how to recover from the loss of Tantus.
Right.
And you get that big picture perspective.
Ooh,
I think that could be a nice way to end the show. Do I realistically think that's going to happen? No, I don't. And I do not think that all of them die. I think if I had to pick between Omega and the Bad Batch, when I came to the show, I was convinced it would be Omega. But the whole idea of her going off with Ventress, like, why would they bring Ventress back for one episode if she's not going to be involved at all? And I think if the Bad Batch do die, Omega going with the Ventress makes sense. So with the greater picture of the Star Wars story, I don't think it makes sense for Omega to come out of this. I'm locking in Omega. I'm going with the 6%. Omega.
They won't kill everyone. I think it's just Crosshair that bites the dust. Yeah, I don't think that maybe... Like, yeah, I'm leaning towards nobody's gonna die. But I don't... If I had to choose, like, yeah, maybe at least one person might. But there is no way in heck it would be... If they do anything to hurt any of these children... I think they know that people will, like, not emotionally recover from that. But they might, because the whole premise is how inhumane and vile the Empire is, you know, surrounding the specimens, the children trapped here in the vault. So, like, that would be an absolute gut punch, tragic emotional damage if one of these poor kids didn't make it out to get to go home.
Yeah.
166% Omega, says Nick.
Right.
My God. Well, this was a pretty interesting split. My majority in favor of the Bad Batch.
Yeah.
As a whole.
Nearly half.
The bunny kid is adorable. I know! That poor baby! That poor baby!
So more people feel that no one will die versus only Omega dying.
Crosshair and Echo, says Elvis. Saying no one because you don't want them to. But you know that someone is not getting out. Fortress Games, you're probably right. You're probably right. Maybe I'm just biased because I don't think the nature of the way the season has played out. I'm not paranoid right now. Like, I'm more just like, what's gonna happen? But I'm not going into this like, who's gonna die?
No, Nick nails it. Nick absolutely nailed it with that comment. Not to be mean. Nick, you're not being mean. You're being a realist.
You're not mean if you disagree with me.
You're aware of the reality of the situation here, which is that the whole show has been about extermination of the clones. And if they're going to end this show, the clones, most of them, it would make sense if they're no longer here. And it plays into Rex's exile. So, Nick, I'm right there with you. I'm totally right there with you. And I don't think you're mean.
You're not mean. Yeah, just to disclaim, I feel like, although it should be unspoken, unsaid, goes without saying here on the channel, but just because if you disagree with me or Tom, or both of us, it does not make you mean. You can totally tell me I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe I'm just jinxing. I don't know, because every time well, I don't know.
Yeah, Alice, that's a good theory too. Is that like, yeah, they could have this master escape plan. As soon as Palpatine gets word of a risk of leak or exposure, there could just be a full-on self-destruct contingency plan that he has that's literally just wipe that thing from the face of existence and all the people on it in whatever way possible. Some mass extinction, nuclear genocide, just literal erase everything there and everyone there from history with the click of a button.
That's actually so plausible.
Like, if Omega gets this daring escape into motion with the Zillo Beast, somehow Palpatine's going to get word that there's a risk of mass escape from this facility and the release of his secrets. So if it gets to that point and you see him, it cuts to him on Coruscant in his office and he just clicks a button, or if you just like see it, oh, I hope this happens. I'm so sold on this idea. If they're escaping and then it's just like literally just complete and utter destruction and just explosions, and then just pans out and the whole facility is just like ash. Literally no survivors, and then it cuts to Palpatine like removing his hand off the button on Coruscant.
They wouldn't know. That is so Rogue One-esque though.
That's Rogue One to an extreme.
And it's like, that's not too far-fetched, because it's like, yeah, it solves the problem, and he'd rather the whole place go down than have any of it also escape, because he has a reputation to protect.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he was saying in private conversations to Hemlock, nobody else can know about this, so the last thing... They do probably have protocol, like, go down with the ship before you let a single one of these... Which,
If someone doesn't have a problem, if anyone doesn't have a problem with wiping out every single living creature on that entire planet just for the sake of keeping his most top secret project a secret, it is Sheev, former Chancellor, current Emperor of the entire galaxy, would have no problem with the click of a button wiping out everything and anything that breathes or stands on that planet. And it has to be done in a way where there's no physical evidence or residue of any kind that entails what was on that planet. And this is the dude who created the Death Star and literally blows up an entire culture, an entire
hesitant
people.
Because, like, yes, we know that they would probably have protocols in place, protective, self-destructive measures to cover their tracks out of caution to prevent anyone from ever learning about what goes down on this facility. But I'm only hesitant to think that they would resort to those extreme measures because we know that Hemlock, freshly after seeing Palpatine, freshly literally after getting right out of the room with the man himself telling him nobody else can know about this, 5 minutes later he willingly let Omega and Crosshair escape, knowing dang well that they could have been disseminating, hey, this is what's happening here.
But they don't know. They don't know the secret.
That's
Neither
true.
of them know the secret.
They don't know about That's actually very true.
And they still don't know about the secret.
That's true.
They still don't know. They know that there's Force... Well, they don't even know they're Force-sensitive kids.
Frick.
I don't think, but they know there's kids there.
Sal,
they don't know what they're there
out.
for. We know as the audience, but they still don't know the full details of what's going on.
Thanks for hanging out, Sal.
So...
People would think this
Later,
is
Sal.
an abomination. Yeah, that's true. They didn't actually know the entirety. All they know is that it's a prison, which the Empire wouldn't care about anyone knowing about that. So, frick. Shoot. Frick. Well, I don't know. Frick. Shoot. My skepticism that anyone is going to meet their fate in this episode is diminished a little bit after tonight. So job well done, everybody. Everyone's seemingly a little more confident that things are going to hit the fan.
Yeah, a third of voters said all.
Listen, I'll eat my words.
All of them.
I will eat my words.
What happens to Emre? She's dead. Like all of the other ones. They're all dead. They're all just burnt.
Obsession.
Crisp.
What's up? We're getting ready to log off here, but I want to hear your opinion because I trust what you have to say. Who do you think is going to meet their fate tonight? in the Bad Batch finale? Do you think anyone's gonna die, and if so, who? That's been the biggest debate of everyone.
Everyone dies. There he is.
Oh my
Obsession.
god.
There we go. There we go.
Oh god.
33%, literally a third. All of them.
All of them
die. So, I think they're ending the show. We don't see Rex is not on Tantus for a reason. We don't see anyone who is on Tantus currently in anything after this point in the timeline. And we know that Project Necromancer gets a serious setback. They're on the verge of greatness right now. And it still takes another 60 years to see a clone Palpatine in the flesh. So if Palpatine is willing to accept, this project might never be successful, and he just wipes out the whole thing, versus the potential of it leaking, he's wiping it out. Why do you think they brainwashed what's his face scientist in Mandalorian?
Oh,
they went after and brainwashed him because he was spewing all this. Yeah, they was spewing all this cloning knowledge, and sure, they didn't kill him because that's too obvious. But if they accidentally wipe his brain clean to get him to shut up,
accidentally,
yeah.
Dang,
well, framed from the public, his mind was accidentally wiped.
Yeah.
Like clearly, he's willing to go to great lengths to
protect the plans,
the secret.
Well,
so
we've got T-minus 6 hours, folks. I will see you all in my reaction. Perhaps I'll be eating my words, but now I'm not feeling so sure that everyone's making it out of this unscathed. But thank you guys so much for joining us. This was a great chat tonight, great discussion.
Yep.
I love hearing everyone's theories, and it's always, exciting. There's something in the air as we're approaching a Star Wars finale, and of course, everything else in store this week.
Yeah.
Star Wars Day, if you are going to be attending Phantom Menace, we're going next week.
Yep.
I can't wait, but if you're going to go see the re-release of Phantom Menace, we've got Tales of the Empire. Stay tuned. I am going to be reacting to that. I'm probably just going to be releasing those reactions sporadically throughout next week. We could be getting, as you said, another Acolyte trailer or whatnot. So
Acolyte's June 4th. May 4th.
Is a
1
month
month
out.
out. Perfect time to release the official trailer.
yeah,
I think.
so there could be a lot in store this weekend. But until then, until tonight, y'all, I'll see you guys very soon in my reaction. I promise it won't be uploaded as delayed as episode 14's was. But until then, happy Dork Discourse Tuesday, everybody. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, night, morning, evening, 3 a.m., whatever time it may be. Thank you guys again. If this was your first time tuning in, I hope to see you all in the next one. We go live Dork Discourse every Tuesday, 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern. Everybody else, do the math. I am so sorry. And we will see you all again.
22-hour time zones on the planet. Yep.
We will see you all again very, very soon.
Yes, and celebration tickets.
Yes, get ready, everybody.
Going to Celebration. Don't forget to get your tickets.
Into position. Yes, good luck. Good luck in the queue, friends. Sending you all good thoughts through the Force. Hopefully, if you're trying to go, you get tickets, no problem. May it be a stress-free process for us all.
Yes.
But until then, we will catch you guys next time. Have fun tonight with the finale.
Enjoy the finale. See you all for the what's it called? For the mass memorial funeral service next week.
Oh my god.
In memoriam of all the poor lives lost on Tantus
Bye,
space.
guys. Bye.
It'll be a somber celebration, or not celebration, somber memorial next week.
Yep.
Pay tribute to all the lives lost.
All right. We've cut. We've cut to the end screen. All right. Bye, everybody.
Adios.